quite upset with the federal power grab the other day. Had all this news to go through and didn't get a chance to do it. Well, it looks as though Obama's telling farmers no need to worry about government overregulation of agriculture as he raids Amish milk farms. Illinois farmer told President Obama he was concerned because of the upcoming regulations regarding the Food Safety and Modernization Act, and he'd rather be farming than filling out papers and forms and permits. And Obama had choice words in offer. In reply, he said, "Don't always believe what you hear." Right, exactly. Just as raw milk factories are destroyed, their produce thrown away, Gibson guitars being taken, inventory taken out. It's unbelievable. Thanks to the Obama administration's push for the Food Safety and Modernization Act, we will soon see an army of FDA agents sweeping across America, ransacking organic gardens, pillaging raw dairy products, vandalizing local food distributors, and intimidating innocent farmers at gunpoint, using tactics that can only be called acts of terrorism. Anyone who refuses to comply with the FDA's new tyrannical rules will be arrested and handcuffed while their inventory is destroyed and their offices ransacked. I mean, this is a joke. But it's not. It's really happening. This is what they're doing. This is their modus operandi. It's bad enough that they're raiding all these places, but they're doing it in Gestapo tactics, scare tactics. It's horrible. It's terrorism. You know, they're saying, look out for terrorism, look out for terrorism. It's right in front of us. This is terrorism. This is what they talk about. They're terrorizing these people because they're collectivists. They want to shut them down. The power grid, the power elite, want control. They're collectivizing control. They don't want these small farmers. They don't want competition. Clearly, it's like a child can understand this. That's why this is going on. That's why. Because these elite forces have hijacked our government to collectivize it, to basically destroy all competition, destroy manufacturing in this country, because this country is supposed to be like a third world nation. Basically, we are the police state. Literally, we are to just have the military capability and the economy run off of that, and this is what they're planning. Manufacturing, forget about it. You know, jobs, forget about it. Slaves, yeah. Slave labor. It's coming. It really is. Even though Obama was elected under the banner of hope for real change, turns out the president's, of course, pro-war, pro-GMO, pro-secret prisons, pro-Federal Reserve, and he repeatedly seeks to expand the power of the very same government regulators that are terrorizing innocent Americans right now. These actions of a government-run terrorist organization, and these actions are being conducted with a nod and a wink from the Obama administration, which actually went out of its way to push for the FDA, giving the FDA even more power and more money. Incredible. Infowars.com. I can't even talk about Gibson's federal raid. This is from the Wall Street Journal. In a statement yesterday, Gibson's chairman and CEO defended his company's manufacturing policies and accused the Justice Department of bullying the company. Of course they are. Of course they are. This is an American company that makes a lot of money. They do well. They employ American workers. This is an American company. They don't send their work overseas. They don't have their guitars made in Mexico. It's unbelievable. Anyway, it isn't the first time the agents of the Fish and Wildlife Service have come knocking at Gibson's door. In 2009, the Fed seized several guitars and pallets of wood from a factory, one of Gibson's factories, and both sides have been wrangling over the goods in a case with a delightful name, United States of America versus Ebony Wood in Various Forms. Interesting. So this is what our tax dollars are paying for. Okay? We're paying for our own enslavement. We're paying to collectivize and close down the businesses that are employing the masses of the people. And we love it. We're paying for our own enslavement. We love it. They take the money out of our check for the Federal Reserve. The IRS, all the money that comes out of there goes to pay interest. That was from the Grace Report. That came out, Grace Commission Report, 1981, finished in 1984. Confirmed that every dollar goes to these criminal bankers who make money out of nothing. Come on, people, this is ridiculous. It's a fraud. And here's another fraud, what they're doing here with Gibson. The Lacey Act of 1900, okay? The Lacey Act of 1900, more commonly known as the Lacey Act, 16 U.S.C. 3371-3378, is a conservation law introduced by Iowa Republican John F. Lacey, protecting both plants and wildlife by creating civil and criminal penalties for a wide array of violations. Now, this was when people did things like, poaching and bad stuff, and you didn't want to destroy the environment. Now, with Gibson, this absolutely has nothing to do with that. They're absolutely not. It's not a law. They put an amendment to this law in 2008 that puts it under the jurisdiction of global law of where it is. In this case, India and Madagascar. Interesting, right? But basically it was because they didn't want to have, turtle shells. People used to make guitar picks out of turtle shells. That was made illegal. Okay, fine, all right. I can understand that. You can understand any of these laws that make sense. Now, it was signed into law by President President McKinley on May 25th, 1900, and it's still in effect, but it's been amended. Now, they amended it in 1907 to include trees, birds, the original was for birds and wild game, but then it was also included to include plants, in any type of plants or wildlife and plants, including trees. So that's how the trees got in it. All right. Now, it's not trees in America, everybody. Remember that. That's the whole thing that's really weird about this thing. It actually has nothing to do with American trees. The trees are in India and Madagascar. So this recent amendment to the Lacey Act, which was the 2008 Farm Bill, the Food Conservation and Energy Act of 2008, somehow whittled its way into the Lacey Act, and now it made it unlawful to import, export, or sell, transmit, or receive, or acquire, or purchase in interstate or foreign commerce any plant with some limitations, exceptions, taken in violations of the law of the U.S. state, blah, 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 blah. The definition of plant, of course, includes trees, as we know, and that's how they did this. So from being a domestic law to protect American wildlife and ecology, it now becomes global again. Agenda 21, welcome to the world. That's what's going on. The White House now backs a solar energy company that collapsed. That's very nice, yeah. Obama did this. Remember the whole thing being green, this is a big fraud. They definitely are holding back on the green technology. There are ways to be green, and it's certainly the right thing to do to try not to leave a big carbon imprint. But if the technology is not going to happen overnight, and even implementing it today, which is what it should be done, we're not in the financial position to do it. We must still take advantage of our fossil fuels. Let's be reasonable, my fellow Americans. We have more oil in America than there is in the Middle East, in Montana and North Dakota. We have abundance of natural gas. Let's utilize these things and work our way off of it. That's a logical way to do this. But no, because the environmental movement, the Rockefellers, have bought into it. The whole green movement has been backed by the Rockefellers, like the Women's Lib movement and all of these other social programs, and like Planned Parenthood. Again, the social control. To say, no, it's the environment, let's save the polar bears. Meanwhile, the polar bear population is rising, not declining. The icebergs are increasing, not diminishing. This is the truth. Okay? Don't listen to the lies. Research the truth. And don't listen to me. Find out your own truth. And it is true. I wouldn't lie. I have no reason to do this other than to spread awareness to the truth. Anyway, so the company that Obama backed, so he's, this is how it is. He's like, I'm talking good, and just really backing the oil companies, backing big banks, backing everybody else about this good green thing. This company, Shell Company, put up in 2005, he gives us $535 million. Company's bankrupt now. Boom, 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 boom. Incredible. Solyndra, $535 million government loan, guaranteed. And now the company is bankrupt. One of the major investors was George Kaiser, a billionaire who raised $50,000 for Obama. But, Guy, I bet you if you check out some records on some puts on that thing, and I'm sure that there's a lot of money that was made on the way down. Okay, more news that the mainstream media won't tell you. Feds seize firearms from ex-Vermont police officer who happens to be a gun dealer. More than 500 arms were seized from his house on Wednesday. The ATF filled a truck. They actually had to rent a truck from Enterprise. It was for Richard Bernholz of Franklin and Phil Chiotti, who of course is the federal firearms dealer and former ex-Vermont police officer, retired. Phil Chiotti of St. Johnsbury said they have been told little about the searches at their homes. Anyway, so a dozen ATF agents raided their home in Massachusetts, actually, and the reporting agency was the Burlington Free Press in Vermont. Basically, with no warrant, they just went in there. They seized his firearms, 500 guns, quote unquote, under an investigation. Quote unquote, no other information is available. What a shock. Okay, is the government spying on Americans? This is from Al Jazeera, interestingly enough. Government lawyers admit that they may be using cell phone data to track the locations of American citizens. Well, at least somebody's telling the truth. We knew this for years. They won't tell you. Of course, they say we don't track American citizens. The rise of government surveillance and a troublesome legacy of the September 11 attacks now is visible everywhere in public places, cameras recording people's every moves. But what about spying that can't be spotted? The American people find out how their government has secretly interpreted the Patriot Act. They will be stunned and they will be angry. Exactly what activities U.S. agencies are carrying out remains unclear. Senator Wyden and Senator Mark Udell, also of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, have been unable to elaborate on the accusations because of the official secrecy law. Heil Hitler. Sounds great. I'm getting chills. Sounds like the Weimar Republic to me, turning into like Nazi Germany. I don't know. It just scares the hell out of me what's going on in this country. I just can't tell you. Like I said the other day, I should just be having a beer and just relaxing on my day off. Just taking it easy. But I can't because people don't realize what's going on. They just don't realize what's going on. Big Sis gives a green light for drones that tase suspects from above. This is great. Guess what? These things also take 12-gauge shotgun rounds. And also are available. They're 50-pound mini drone helicopters. They can shoot up to 100 feet distance, delivering neuromuscular incapacitation to the victim. And the drone can travel at a top speed of 70 miles per hour and can operate for 3.5 hours over land and sea. So look out for these in your future. Lock and load, everybody. The drone also has the capacity to carry a 37mm or 40mm grenade launcher and multiple gauge, 12-gauge shotgun applications, as I mentioned. Unbelievable. Shadowhawk is what it's called. Will not only be used to target Americans, owners Vanguard Defense say, they've just signed a contract to use the drone against pirates in East Africa. Well, that sounds better than using it for Homeland Security, doesn't it? I mean, aren't they the terrorists? I mean, how much clearer does this have to be, everybody? Incredible. FEMA's use of the term federal family for government expands under Obama. Don't think of it as a federal government, but think of it as your federal family. In a Category 4 torrent of official communications during the approach and aftermath of Hurricane Irene, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, beloved FEMA, has repeatedly used the phrase federal family. That's the talking point. Federal family. That's the message. The federal family. When describing the Obama administration's response to the storm. The Obama administration didn't invent the phrase, but it has taken it to new heights. Under the direction of President Obama and Secretary Janet Napolitano, Big Sis, the entire federal family is leaning forward to support our state, tribal and territorial partners along the East Coast, a FEMA news release declared Friday, as Irene churned toward landfall. Family can evoke favorable thoughts of motherhood and security, but it can also conjure images of Big Brother and organized crime. You bet your ass it does. The phrase federal family has been used in connection with FEMA at least as far back as 1999. Under President George W. Bush, FEMA officials sprinkled the alliterative euphemism into congressional testimony and statements. When former FEMA Director Michael Brown promised to hurricane-battered Floridians in 2004 that he vowed that the federal family is dedicated to staying for as long as it takes. Yeah, they're such criminals. They you know, it's just a joke. I can't stop digressing because it just makes me sick. I really have to tell you, my stomach's turning. A Google search shows that the phrase appearing 10 times on FEMA's website during Bush years, since Obama took office, the federal family has turned up 118 times on the FEMA.gov website, including 50 Irene-related references. Boy, if that's not telegraphing something, I don't know what is. You know the song already, you know? It's like when you hear a song 10 times, it's in your head, maybe even 2 times you hear it in your head. So if it's a good song, catchy, right? This thing is just banging in your head. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. If you see something, say something. I don't know. I don't know what the hell's happening. Anyway, the Obama administration is committed to bringing all of the resources of the federal family to bear for storm assistance, and that entire federal family continues to lean toward support the states and the ongoing response efforts. That federal family just sounds so good. So Stalin, you know, so community. Anyway, onward. Here's an interesting article from Paul Joseph Watson. Ron Paul stating the feds are preparing for a breakdown of law and order. What a shock. Asked about his recent comments regarding how authorities in the United States were setting the stage for violence in this country, presidential candidate Ron Paul elaborated on how the federal government was preparing for a breakdown in law and order. They're planning for any provision, Paul told the Alex Jones Show, adding that the federal government is very much aware of history. You can have a breakdown of law and order so the people will unfortunately be begging for stabilization. And they'll be inviting the federal government to come in and destabilize things. So I think they're making plans along those lines, said the Texas congressman. Responding to a question about whether such preparations were about a power grab on behalf of the federal government, Paul responded, "That's their goal. It's all about power." Of course it is. As I've been saying all day, consolidation, collectivism. When pressed who they were, Paul named the Federal Emergency Management Agency, who have come in for harsh criticism from the congressman in the aftermath of Hurricane Irene. Yeah, we don't need all this. They get in the way of the local authorities, but he's demonized in the press. Ron Paul is demonized for everything. All he wants to do is make things more efficient. Wouldn't you agree that they would rather have resources than troops and personnel? Wouldn't you agree that they would rather have the local jurisdictions, and if they need assistance, they go through the National Guard as the normal procedure? Oh no, our National Guard is tied up in war. Oh, I forgot about that. So if you understand Mr. Paul, bring the troops home, have national security, have money, close half of those bases. I mean, we have bases, 900 bases. Come on, that's ridiculous. Around the world, come on, you realize how much money they're pilfering from us? And we'll still be safe. It's a fraud, like the Federal Reserve and the IRS. Anyway, oh, nice. Hospital patients are now being microchipped with electronic tattoos. How interesting is that? Being microchipped is now being spun as a method of protecting the health of hospital patients, so says Christina Louisa from Natural News. To help mask the practical use of the practice of bodily invasion with a trendy, high-tech appearance, microchipping sensors are being referred to as electronic tattoos that can attach to skin and stretch and move without breaking. The small chip is less than 50 micrometers thick, which is thinner in diameter than a human hair, and it is marked as safe and easy to use and an easy way to temporarily monitor the heart and brain in patients. The heart and brain, how nice, I love it. While replacing bulky medical equipment currently being used in hospitals. The device uses microelectronic technology called Epidermal Electronic System, EES. And it is said to be developmental that will transform medical sensing technology, computer gaming, and even spy operations, according to the study published last week. I'm getting shivers right now. That's just freaky, man. Okay, we're all going to know. We're going to plug our game in like this. Plug the game into your head. You know, Ray Kurzweil, plug everything into your head. This is your computer. Holy God in heaven, where are we going? And there, by the way, is a proven link between animal microchipping and cancer, which pet microchips have been used for a long time and have been increasingly common over the past few years. These chips are marked with a small barcode that can be scanned just like the tags on grocery items. And it's suggested that once inserted, the animal, the chip stays there for the entirety of the lifetime and can be used to identify, so that's a good point. But the subdermal chips are often recommended. They do have research has suggests that despite their proclaimed usefulness, pet microchips may cause cancer. Multiple studies have clearly linked pet microchips with an increased incidence of cancer and tumors in mice and rats. Yeah, why do we have to... I mean, technology, I agree. We do need technology to advance, but, I mean, some things just have to be left, you know, left alone. And that, I would think, would be one of them. Microchipping, you know, these transdermal tattoos, I mean, you know, barcoding, it's bad enough. They want everybody to have a real ID card. I know in Connecticut it becomes law in October. Everybody who gets a driver's license, actually has a microchip in there, which is a GPS global tracking thing. If you don't believe me, look that up. They're going to have GPS all over the country, and they're being implemented. I think they have to all be in by 2014, and I think Connecticut's complying already. So look out. Fortunately, mine, I just redid my license. I won't have to worry about it for a long time, and honestly, I don't think I'll renew it. I just don't. Not. Hopefully by then we'll have taken care of this issue. Anyway, and if you don't think it's an issue, you got a big problem to think that the only reason they want to do this is so you lose your wallet. They'll find it. Oh, Ohio becomes the first American state to sell prison to private company. Wow, unbelievable. Lake Erie Correctional Institute in northern Ohio's Ashuba County, God, say that a lot, Ashtabula County, is one of only 5 state prisons up for sale that will be sold, and the Corrections Corporation America will buy it for $72.7 million, more than the $50 million needed to the privatization effort being to balance the budget. So they're making money on the deal, and they love it, giving up the prison to a private company. Awesome. The CCA, the largest national prison operator, by the way, they operate 51 prisons. Oh, excuse me, 52 prisons in the United States and growing. Privatization of prisons, good thing, no problem, especially in Pennsylvania. You know, where the judge got caught, you know, because the private prison for juveniles needed to make sure the population was up in the prison or they would lose their contract. So he got a deal with get a little kickback with the judge, and they got caught. This is going on. So just be aware of it. It's unbelievable. So anyway, CCA will operate the Lake Erie prison. And a third bidder, GEO Corporation of Boca Raton, wasn't selected. But Ohio's prisons are over capacity, and this isn't going to actually help with the capacity. In fact, some 51,000 inmates in 31 prisons are built to hold 38,000. The actual inmate population could raise to 54,000, And private prisons are expected to be as crowded as public ones under the new plan, says Linda Janes, Chief of Staff for the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. Rehabilitation? Please. Regeneration. Revolving door. Profit motive system. Getting even more profitable as we privatize. It's sickening. I can't take it anymore. Well, that's it for today. Quite a bit of information. Quite a bit of things to look at. Unbelievable. God bless America, and God bless you.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.